So I'm here tonight to tell you a true story of something that happened to me during grad school. And this story takes place during the 6th year of my PhD program. And who here has been through a PhD program? So those of you who've been there or possibly there now, you know that the 6th year of your PhD program is basically... You never got there? You're lucky. So the 6th year is like the 10th month of pregnancy. You're just going around like, wasn't something supposed to have happened? Did I miss it? So I was living a pretty typical grad student life. I was at Hopkins up in Baltimore, and I was living in a row house with 3 other grad students in a very unsafe part of Baltimore called Waverly. Some people know it. Like, oh yeah, I was killed there once. So it was a horrible place. I filled out 5 police reports in my first 2 years in that house. 5. One was for a time when a guy walked me to an ATM at gunpoint at midnight. Seriously. Another time, and this is not even one of the police reports, but just to give you a sense of what the house was like, I open my door to go to the lab in the morning, but I can't leave because there is a man standing right there on my front doorstep, peeing. So I closed the door, waited 5 minutes, and opened the door again, and he was gone, and I went to class. That's the kind of house this was, where you see a man standing on your doorstep, and you're just like, oh, it's going to be a little late to the lab this morning. Peeing. The house had ants, we had mice, we had rats. I woke up one morning at like 3 in the morning because my chest was itching. I reached up to scratch it, and I found that I was holding a cockroach the size of a small potato. Now, it was dark, so I didn't get to see it, but I felt it, and I flung it across the room instinctively. I heard it hit the opposite wall. I turned the light on right away. It was gone, but on my pillow was one tiny leg. Yeah, so I wanted to graduate. I was ready to be done. But as you know, if you've been to the PhD program, it's not like a master's where you have a set graduation date. In a PhD program, you graduate when your advisor says, now. My advisor had not said that yet. And on this particular day in my 6th year, my advisor came up to me in the hallway and told me he wanted some data. And now you have to picture my advisor. You picture a short, angry Peruvian thermodynamicist. His name was Ernesto, and my wife always tells me I shouldn't use his real name when I talk about him. Oops, I forgot again. That's his name, it's Ernesto. And Ernesto is not the kind of advisor who asked you for data. He would tell you how much data he wanted, he would tell you when he wanted it, and then he just kind of waddle away. And on this particular day, he said, I need you to give me this data for the department seminar we're going to have on Friday. And then he was gone. And the problem was the amount of data that Ernesto was asking me for was so much more than the amount of data that I actually had. It happened to you guys, but you can't go tell your boss? You can't just say, sorry, think you've got some misconceptions about me and my work ethic? I've been playing a lot of online Scrabble. So I start thinking, okay, is there any way I can get Ernesto this data by the time he needs it? And I do some quick math and I figure out, okay, I can if I work 21 hours a day for the next 3 days. Right, now if this is the real world, this is where you go to your boss and say, sorry, I can't do that, but this is not the real world. This is grad school. So I'm like, all right, let's start now. So I'm using 2 different machines. They're both isothermal titration calorimeters, for anyone who's familiar with that branch of science. And I've got this one running while I'm cleaning this one, and it's this whole complex ballet, and there's even like a 15-minute gap in the evening when they're both running at the same time, and I can go out, get a sandwich, come back and eat it in the hallway. And my plan was to sleep from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. both nights. Now, first night, 2 a.m., I finish exactly when I planned to finish. It's perfect. I get both machines cleaned and stored. I get on my bicycle. I go home. I take one step into my bedroom, and that is when I realize that I am standing in about an inch of human sewage. Because that was the other thing about this house. Anytime something went wrong related to liquid, it always went to the lowest possible place, which was the basement, which was my bedroom. And apparently one of my housemates had flushed a tissue that broke the 90-year-old plumbing system, and sewage had been spraying into my room all day. I know, the word spraying, right? But that's accurate. And I didn't know any of this at the time. All I knew is that whatever was going on, it was wet and smelly and starting to soak into my sock. I just thought, but it's 2 a.m. I have to get up at 5 a.m. And anything I could do to solve the problem would take time out of my 3 hours that I need to sleep. Like maybe I could call a friend at 2 in the morning, go sleep at his house, but that's going to take, what, like half an hour till I get over there and get situated? That's a sixth of my sleep. I need that time. And we have a couch upstairs, yes, but it's 4 feet long. It has wooden arms. I need some place where I can stretch out and sleep. And I see my bed as this dry oasis in the sewage. I'm like, whoa, it's right there. I go, okay, here we go. And I take a flying leap and I touch the ground a couple times because my bed's not that close to the door. But I land on the bed on my knees and I rip my socks off and throw them in the corner and slide my legs under the covers. And that is when I realize that my comforter had been touching the floor. And it acted as a siphon, pulling the sewage up into the lower half of the bed. And I thought, oh, but it's 2 a.m. I have to get up at 5 a.m. I'm already here. And I just thought, fuck it. I don't have any open cuts on my feet. So I slept in sewage. Seriously. 5 a.m. my alarm goes off, I get up, I get back on my bicycle, go to work for 21 more hours, get back 2 a.m., sleep in sewage again, because I did not have time to solve the problem during the day. I had time to eat a sandwich in the hallway. That was my free time. So I sleep 3 more hours in sewage, wake up, 21 more hours. I finish exactly when I'd planned. It was perfect. I get my data, I put them in these charts and graphs and tables, email it all to Ernesto, and I go to that department seminar and I start thinking, this man has just stolen 63 hours of my life. In fact, he's stolen 6 years of my life. But if there's a positive side to it, I got the data. I did what I set out to do. I set this goal that I wasn't sure I could make it, and I made it. And now Ernesto's going to present the data at the department seminar, and all the other professors are going to be like, wow, the guy who got that data, he should graduate. At this point, I'm delirious, so this is what makes sense to me. So I'm sitting there in the department seminar, and I'm tired. I do not smell very good. And Ernesto starts going through the different projects in the lab, is what you do at a department seminar. And he says, here's what Jeff is working on, and here's what Sandeep is working on. And in conclusion, thank you all for coming. He never mentioned my data. He never even gave me any sign that he received the email that I sent him after that 63-hour data binge. And as I'm sitting in the room and everyone is filing out and going to go have snacks or something, I'm just thinking that the whole experience was just a perfect metaphor for grad school in general. Isn't it? Because you are overworked, you are unappreciated, you are exhausted, and sometimes you are buried in shit. But there is one bright spot to the story. I did eventually graduate at the end of my 7th year. Yes, but I did, and now I'm out. That's good. And as soon as I graduated, one of the very first things I did was I thought, hey, I should write a book about grad school. And I actually convinced Random House to publish the book. I'll be selling it after the show tonight, and I've given it a title that I think reflects my experiences during those 7 years. And so I hope you'll all come later after the show and purchase a copy of Surviving Your Stupid Decision to Go to Grad School. Thank you.